Alright, good morning. Something about me is that when I was really young, like as a kid growing up, I was always very wise. And when I say wise, I mean wise in quite a specific way. Where my wisdom lies personally was in being able to tell what results actions would create. Okay? Now, this is a specific type of wisdom to be able to know, like, what the result will be of even the smallest things, such as putting a pen down on the right side of your paper versus the left side of your paper. And the thing about this type of wisdom is like you a lot of times can see what seemingly two uncorrelated events have to do with each other. So whereas a lot of times my peers would say to me like about different things they want me to do or places they want me to go or things and ideas and beliefs they want me to have with them is like they'll try to tell me like, oh yeah, this ain't nothing, like, just do it what we're trying to tell you, right? But to me, I might say something to them like, no, because this is gonna happen later if we do that, if I do that, so I can't do it. And they'll be telling me things like, no, that's not gonna happen. They just say that like that's not it, this, that, and the third. And although I know out loud that it sounds like they're right because I'm probably exaggerating or something, I know inwardly, I would know inwardly that I'm the one who's right, even though it seems like it's quite unlikely for certain things to happen or for it to go the way that I'm talking about. It sounds like, Sam, you guessing, like that's not it, that's not gonna happen. And you could also say now with foreshadowing that I spoke it into existence by saying it, but how many times does that have to happen in your life, even with things that you don't say out loud? Like, because a lot of the times I learned to stop saying a lot of these things out loud to tell people like, oh, when you do that, this happens. Oh, this is how this goes when this goes down. If you see this sign from this person from this way, like that something's happening in life, that means that this can happen. Like, don't do like this. Like, I learned after a while to stop saying such things out loud, because so it's like, so what about all the times where I never say anything out loud or I never make it obvious or like bring it into existence, but I think to myself for a second like, ooh, I peep, this just happened. That means so-and-so's gonna happen. Let me make sure that so-and-so. Like, if I'm doing that and I'm never even telling you about it, am I the one who's bringing it into existence, or am I actually what I'm telling you right now, which is that I'm wise and I can tell things before they happen, how it's gonna go down? You know what I'm trying to say? But anyway, to get back to the point of me being from a young age, having that level of wisdom and that ability to see things, it's taught me quite a few things growing up with it, and also growing up with me with it has also taught me that the way you use it matters more than the fact that you have it, okay? So like, when I was younger, for example, if you're my friend, if you're my peer, and I'm like, I rock with you, I'm always trying to tell you, I'm gonna be like, no, like, don't do that, this, that, and the third, I can see it going bad, this, that, and the third, right? Like, I used to try to tell people, like, I used to try to warn everybody, like, no, I have this type of information, do it like this. And when I realized, after a while of continuously trying to save people that I couldn't save, and watching them have the things happen to them that I predicted would happen to them, is that there's no point in telling people things when they're not ready to hear it, okay? Like, you might be 1,000% certain that someone around you is doing something that's not going to benefit them in the long run, that they think is their next come up. Like, they might get put onto something new and think to themselves, this is it. Everything I've been waiting for in life is going to come through this next play I'm about to make. And they're ready. They're prepared to, like, get what they want, basically. And you as their friend or as their peer might see the opportunity and be able to quickly see what the flaw in that means or that method of getting what they want. And it's not even that you don't want them to get what they want. If anything, you almost want them to get what they want more than they want themselves to get it. Because sometimes people fake want things for themselves. Like, because it's like the most natural human nature thing to want something for yourself, they try to convince themselves that they do want good for themselves. But sometimes for real, they don't actually want good for themselves because they've been brainwashed by people in their lives or bullied by the wrong people in their lives into having a negative outlook on themselves. So inwardly, they have a secret animosity towards themselves. They don't really want good for themselves. They don't believe good can happen to themselves unless it's given to them. They don't believe that good can just naturally happen to themselves. Like me, I'm not that type of person. Like, naturally, I don't ever believe that someone else can bring the good that I'm destined to have to me. So if somebody tries to bring good to me and it's not under the terms that I am morally okay with, I will always turn it down, because I always believe that the good that's destined to me is not, it's not based off of other people giving it to me. Like, no one can come into my life and be the reason for or against it. It is what it is, regardless of who's around me. You know what I'm trying to say? That's my natural state of mind state. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know who to give credit for it to. Like, but that's just how my brain is wired. It's like, good is gonna happen to me. Like, anyone who's near me when it happens, it's the lucky day for them too. Because I'm the type to just, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, but I always believe that I'm the reason for the good that's coming. And so when I'm around, when other people's good starts happening to them, I'm like, good thing I was here, so I could make sure that the flow and the energy was right for them to get a good thing happening to them. Because I promise you, it was probably me. You know what I'm trying to say? Even if I don't get a piece out of it, but then if I do get something that happens to me around me, I'm like, yeah, that good was gonna happen to me, regardless of you being here today. What's it called? But lucky for you, you were here today, so I'm gonna make sure you're good too. So that's my natural state of mind state, right? And not everybody has that mindset. So because of that, they sometimes think that somebody else or something that is in front of their face currently is gonna be their ticket to whatever good they want for themselves, whatever good they want for themselves in life. But because of that, they negate their own power to bring good into their own life, so then they low-key cancel out the mathematics of good coming to them, all right? So a lot of times, like I'm telling you, they low-key don't actually want the good coming for them. They want somebody else to come and just be the good and like give the credit to the good coming to that person or that thing or that, just one time big lick. That's why I feel like a lot of times in my community, we have a obsession with like, like a big lick. Like, people in my community, they don't like to slowly see something change. They don't like that slow process of like, okay, I'm gonna make $2 today, and for the next 8 months, I'm gonna make $2 every day. But then after that, every day I'm gonna be making $3 every day. And that's gonna take 6 months to do. But then after 6 months, for the next 4 months, I'll make $5, right? But then after the next 4 months, it's going to be $10. But like each time it's going exponential. So each time you're cutting down months that it takes you to make this amount every day, you're also doubling what you used to make every day, right? But that's kind of slow. Like the way I just described it to you, you're like consistently at a low level for a very long time until that's how exponential equations work. It's like you're flat line for a long, long time. And even on the flat line, you're slowly increasing, but it's such a small amount of increase that the line still looks flat. But that by the time it starts curving up, it goes flat vertically instead of horizontally. So it's like you have to wait to hit that curve to really start seeing shit pick up, you know? But that takes time, and that's slow. So a lot of people in my community, they don't like to do things in that fashion. That's why a lot of them jump towards things like stealing, like robbing and stuff like that, or like scamming, or like what's other things you can do, big money, dealing drugs, but you know, the big boy versions, like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like that's why they all kind of lean towards those types of way of making money, because they can flip their money very quickly. That's more like a linear type of way to make money, or like fuck linear, like a quick just jump, like you just get the jump, you know? So they want that version of things. And the thing about that version of things, the quick jump you made is the quick jump you made. The quick jump you made is the quick fall you make too, you know? So you have to be careful with when you quick jump. And therefore, that's what I'm trying to say. That like when I was young, I always had a wisdom for things like that. Like I always kind of could tell, like when someone thought they had one of those big jumps, where the fall would come from that big jump. And it's not to discourage anyone from seeking big jumps and like increasing their state of life in quick moves. It's just to tell you that when you are trying to do something like that and you want to jump like quickly from one place to another in your life, be wary of like what that fallback could be. At bare minimum, know what it is, even if you don't see it being likely to happen to you. You know what I'm trying to say? At least know what it is. My issue would be when I was a young person was that I would let people know what that like fall off would be, and they wouldn't have even thought of it. And then once I tell them, they wouldn't believe me. And then once it happens, I'm just watching in like shame, like, damn, like I try to tell you, you didn't even want to acknowledge it to make sure that it don't happen to you. I'm not trying to tell you that to acknowledge it so I could put you down. I'm trying to tell you to acknowledge it so you could pay attention to the signs if it starts to come. Like it's not even like that. You know what I'm trying to say? But then stuff like that, you have to take that wisdom and keep it to yourself and pay attention to those signs for yourself. Because after a while, I started to realize that wisdom that I'm having for other people, I need to keep that wisdom and pay attention to whether or not I'm even holding that same kind of accountability to myself. Because in a way, by giving that advice, I'm not following it. Because the fallback for me jumping up by like saving you from having something happen to you is that I end up being right, and now you resent me for it. So I jumped up by being seen as like, you know, ahead of the game as far as thinking and like, you know, wisdom and like reputation of like, okay, this is a smart person who like could see things coming. Like she predicted the future. She always knows what's gonna happen before it happens. Like that's what my jump up. I want to jump and building my ego by letting you know that I can see where the diversion in your path is gonna be, right? But the fallback for myself in that same advice is that now, because I'm always trying to prove to myself like, see, I said it, I already knew, every time. I'm so focused on what you got going on, I'm trying to warn you about, that I'm not paying attention to my own versions of those things enough. Not to say I'm not paying attention to my own versions of those things for myself ever, because I always am. I just have that natural instinct, because that's why I'm able to do it for other people as well. But not to the level of which I need to be having it for myself that I could be if I had 0% usage on other people. If I only use it on myself, and imagine I used all of that on just myself, how much more wisdom and like growth I could be adding into my own life that I'm wasting on people who are not even listening to the advice I'm giving them anyway. Like I'm over here, I'm trying to give you, I would be trying to, like when I was younger, like I would know, like, if you do that, they're going to do this to you, don't do that, but you're not going to listen to me anyway. You're going to follow your own instincts, because these are my instincts that I'm trying to enforce upon you, you know, instead of saving the instincts for myself, being more of an aware person, being more careful of my surroundings, being more able to, you know, breathe success in the things that I'm trying to move forward in. I'm using some of that energy to give it to you, and you're not even using the energy that I just gave you. You're just wasting it. And so now, instead of having that extra energy for myself, I just wasted it too, because I used it on somebody who wasted it. You see what I'm trying to say? So it's like that same wisdom that I was trying to give, that wisdom that I had when I was younger, like it was wisdom that did exist, and I'm right that I did have it, but I wasn't using it correctly at that time. Do you see? And this is why it's like when you want to teach somebody something and they don't want to learn it, you can't really teach it to them. You have to like, sometimes a better method is to just like even say it in a way where they might not even realize what you just did, but like at the right moment they can hear it in a different way for it to finally click in their head. You know, I feel like a lot of the times, like the best moments of like wisdom I've been able to pass on to people is been in a way like that, where it was accidental, even how they finally heard me. It was like I say it about something else in a different way, in a light way, where you can tell I don't care if you take the information or not. It's up to you. And then later on, they get a minute to replay the words in their head, and that's when they give themselves the motivation to hear the wisdom in the right way. But like I still was able to give it to them. I just wasn't able to enforce how, when, where, and why the wisdom was relayed onto them. And I also realized after a while too that energy that I'm wasting trying to relay information to save other people from mistakes that I can see coming for them, it's like if I show to them that I make sure that those mistakes never happen to me by being successful in whatever my pursuits are, like people can see when you are actively moving forward in your goals and your pursuits, you know, regardless of what it is, like, you know. And I feel like if that time and energy is spent more on actively pursuing your goals and pursuits, a lot of times that might be the wisdom enough, like showing them that your way of wisdom works for yourself. That's enough for them to not even need to hear you out. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, read one more time then. Like, how many times you gotta do it? I heard you. But yeah, it's like, you know, it's hard when you're young and you're wise because a lot of the times you're wise but naive. You know, you're wise but uncertain. You're wise but ignorant. You know, so as you get older, it's not about changing the wisdom that you have from a young age because a lot of the wisdom that you have from a young age is instinctual. It comes to you naturally. You can feed off of it easier than trying to enforce somebody else's version of wisdom on yourself. You might as well just use what comes to you naturally, but it's more about changing the means of how you use that wisdom. What are your ways to get the results you want from the wisdom you have? So it's like, okay, I know this and this is gonna happen if this and that is gonna happen. Whereas when you was younger, you might have yelled it to the rooftops and be like, hey, this might happen, y'all. I'm trying to save you. I'm trying to tell y'all something. And nobody's listening to you. Everyone's calling you a young person who, whatever, is delusional. Logic says that you're wrong. Logic and wisdom are two different things, okay? And especially as a woman and as a creative, wisdom is a very strong part of getting what we get done. You need it, okay? But yeah, so like, whereas when you was younger, you might like just start yelling and try to tell everybody what it is you see because of your wisdom. Now that you're older, instead of trying to tell everybody, you might instead just quietly remove yourself from the situation. You know? That might be what you need to do. You might need to let it play out. The people who it needs to play out for because they couldn't see it and decide to remove themselves from the equation, that might be their calling. That might be what they need to have happen to them, you know? Or whereas now, you're older and your wisdom's telling you something, instead of yelling, you change the situation. You see where an opportunity is for you to like change it before it even ends up happening. But in a more like quiet, better way, you know? You might be able to affect things in a better way, you know? So